The Nitecore Tini is seriously small, but has a pretty impressive output. This is designed as a keychain light, and size-wise fits nicely in my opinion. Thanks to Nitecore Store for sending this out to me for review. Let's take a closer look. The Nitecore Tini below is seriously small. Here it is next to the Nitecore TIP, which I've reviewed about a year ago now, and I'll roll in a picture of it next to a quarter as well. It's one of the first lights that I actually want to use on my keychain. Weight comes in with the clip at 16.5 grams. I measured the length at 40.10 millimeters, the width at 23.88 millimeters, and the thickness of the lens at the thickest point at 15.06 millimeters. Construction is pretty similar to the TIP here. It's got a metallicized body, and it's held together with screws. It's got a little plastic liner there. One place where it is different here is the Tini has a little USB rubber flap for the recharging port, which I like, and it's got a larger head. The lens itself has a pattern on there to disperse the light a little nicer. The keychain is removable if you wish. The Tini is IP54 rated, so don't submerge it in water. The buttons really don't take much pressure to push. This isn't a problem for accidental activation on your keys or in your pocket, and I'll cover why in a few minutes. The bad is the color. I ordered this model in red, and looking at the photos on Nitecore website and the Nitecore Store website, I thought it'd be great. However, when I received it, it was much more pink, and I was disappointed in that. Here are some photos next of some very red objects. I used a screwdriver and a cap to ballistol if you've ever had that. And here I've got it next to some red M&Ms. As you can see, it's not red. It's pink or fuchsia. I understand the Nitecore TIP had similar problems, however I didn't know about those. It's disappointing that Nitecore continues to make this mistake. I was pleasantly surprised by the output of this light. It uses a Cree XP G2 S3 in cool white. The light has a diffuser that makes a pretty diffused beam. It's more intense in the center, but no real definition. And you can see there are no real smooth points. It's just really a nice smooth beam, very usable beam. Here's my night shots for the Nitecore Tini. And here is the lowest mode. If I pan down to my feet, you can see it. This is enough light out for your eye, a little hard to pick up on the camera. If I bump up, this is quite a bit of light. Very usable, and you can see it throws and goes a decent amount. It's more of a flood style light. Bumping up again to here is the next mode. This is pretty impressive for a light that is hardly any bigger than a quarter. And if I press and hold, I get turbo here. And again, this is a lot of light for a light this small. Again, this is pressing and holding on turbo pretty good. Here's low. This is a nice amount of light. This is the cool white version. If I pan up, I can look into the tree and hit turbo again. You can see how much light that throws. Turbo is listed at 380 lumens for 15 minutes. High at 145 lumens for 1 hour. Medium at 38 lumens for 4 hours, and low at 1 lumen for 60 hours. The battery is only rated for 280 milliamp hours, which is pretty small, but for this light, you can't expect a big capacity. That said, it ran on high down to no light for 6 to 8 minutes in my runtime test, which I thought was really good out of a light this size. For 50 of those minutes, it was within 80% or greater of the full output. I was expecting for it to ramp down sooner. Charging is done via the micro USB here on the side. Nitecore says it will fully charge in 1 hour and 45 minutes, which is quite a while for such a small battery. This light can operate while charging, so if you had a stiff USB wire, you can use it to illuminate a keyboard or laptop or something like that. This light does have a battery level indicator that you can access by tapping on the mode button when the light's off. You just tap on it once and these LEDs underneath the buttons here will flash. The UI is reasonable for this type of light. It ships with demo mode enabled, meaning it'll only run for a maximum of 30 seconds. Luckily, the Nitecore Store includes a nice operating guide here that tells you how to disable that easily. And I think the UI in this light is pretty decent. So to get around the sensitive buttons, you have to press and hold before it'll turn on. And with my video lights on here, it's hard to tell, but let me just let me point it up at the camera and show you. So here we go. I'm going to press the button, And you can see there, it just took a little bit long for the light to come on. This isn't really annoying or anything, but it's a really nice solution, and in my opinion, it's better than lockout mode. Once the light is on, you can press the mode button and changes are instant. As you can see, I'm ramping through those. This light does have turbo, and you can access that when the light is on or off just by pressing that top button and holding. This light does have memory mode, and it will return to the last mode used. Turbo is not accessible in the normal rotation. Instead, like I said, you press and hold the mode button for 0.6 seconds when the light is on or off to activate it. Keep pressing to keep turbo engaged. The pros of this light is it's a practical size for actually using a keychain light. It's got a logical UI that seems to start on low mode when the light times out. And it's a pretty impressive output for such a small light. The cons, in my opinion, are don't order red expecting to actually receive red. Its anodizing is much more pink than red. It ships in demo mode, which isn't my favorite. It's the same price depending on where you shop as the Nitecore TIP, and in my opinion it should be a bit less just due to its size. Logically that makes sense. And no micro USB cables included, and I think it should be for the current price. This is a nice sized keychain light with an impressive output. It's light, and its runtime ramps down quickly, but it maintains a usable amount of light for a good amount of time. Overall, I'm impressed with this light and can recommend it for use as a keychain light. Check it out at the Nitecore store and let me know what you think.